Howdy, Crystal Conclave, it's Neshi. I want to have a conversation with you guys about how you can win with the bad decks that you play. You know, your favorite decks that you might consider to be bad. I want this video to be geared towards the people who have hit that rock bottom. The guys who realize, my deck isn't good enough to compete. My deck isn't good enough to win anything, like win a couple games even. So this video is geared towards you guys, anyone who's feeling down about their favorite decks, who's saying that, no matter what they try, they're never going to break it. I know I'm pretty qualified to talk about this. I'm not saying this like for my ego or anything, but just saying I was the first person in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! To top with Crystal Beast, which has never had a tournament top in the history of the game. I mean, I was the first one to get it on the Top Decks website. I've taken it farther than Crystal Beast have ever gone before. Ryan Levine said that himself. A couple other big players have said great things about how I've done with Crystal Beast. I know I want to help other people with their decks and, have the same kind of look that I had and vision that I had when I was at my rock bottom with Crystal Beast, right? I'm sure you already know your deck is losing because of consistency issues. It lacks power. It's just not good enough to keep up. But what you have to understand is that Konami made that deck for a reason. There's a reason that deck exists. Even if it's just a meme deck, there's a way that that deck can break the game, okay? Maybe not the deck itself can break the game, but there's a way that you can combine a certain number of cards or a certain combination of cards that'll make the deck work. It'll make the deck be able to compete. It'll make the deck be able to run and keep up with the rest of them. And at the end of the day, isn't that what you really want? I wouldn't expect anyone to watch this video and walk out being like, yeah, my deck can beat every single deck in the game right now. I'm about to win a YCS, Remote Duel YCS. One truth you have to realize is that every deck has its limitations. Every deck has its brick hands, its consistency issues, and every deck lacks the capability to out every single board in the game. Right, sometimes you can't get over a towers, sometimes you can't play through Mystic Mine, but that's why a lot of players will move from deck to deck. They'll try out a meta deck, they'll have their honeymoon phase with it, acting like nothing's wrong with it, like this is the reason I'm going to start winning now, but then they start to realize that the drawbacks that the deck has, and then they instantly drop it, put it up on Facebook, being like, I have all these cards, I'm looking for these cards, and pick up a new deck every week for locals. That's not going to do. What's going to matter is dedication. And dedication comes in two forms. It either comes with dedicating yourself to the deck that you believe will be the best and will have the most success, learning the ins and outs of it, or dedicating yourself to a single deck, but you also have to dedicate yourself to the meta and knowing what's going to beat it, knowing what's going to work around it, because you can't just go in with your Penguin deck with no hand traps and no defensive cards and expect to do well, right? You have to have some kind of defensive cards, some kind of way to play around the meta, and some decks actually just don't have the power to do that. But with the right cards, the right engines, I believe every deck is able to do that. It just takes a lot of dedication either way. First things first, I think everyone, no matter what level you're at, I think everyone should try and play a meta deck for at least one format, just once. Try it out for yourself, because you don't know what power levels are possible until you try them for yourself. I know for me, that was when I first tried out True Draco, and that was like, whoa, all of a sudden, just all this power and consistency came that I never thought was possible until I tried out True Draco when it was big, and when I came back to the game with True Draco Zoo format. But I played that for a format, and I played Pendulum, I even played Sky Striker True Draco, but it's important, I think, to try out the meta decks and play it yourself for at least one format just to see. And then when you do finally decide to take your deck to the next level and implement ways to beat the meta, you have to take a look at the meta and see what your deck does differently, what it does to tick against the meta, what it does to counter their strategies. And that's what I did with Crystal Draco. I'd like to share a little bit of my story in with this discussion, and hopefully that helps some of you guys. So with Crystal Draco, the whole point of it was I looked at the top 4 decks, Salad, Orcust, Thunder, Striker. Long ago, the 4 decks lived together in harmony, but everything changed when the 2019 ban list hit. In reality, I did see those 4 decks and I was like, Metaltron just kind of, they can't deal with the towers, okay? So I looked at Crystal Draco, like Metaltron is a pretty good win condition. Salad, they just make Borreload crash against Metaltron. If it's boosted by Diagram, then it's like even more insane. Like Orcust, they can't out it except for Borrelsword, and Sky Striker just kind of cries. Thunder, they can't beat over it unless they get out Titan or they boost up Dragon Duo. Like the Metaltron's just so oppressive, it just because you can't really out it with the 4 decks that were in the 2019 format. So that's where I kind of got my foot in the door of like, okay, taking Crystal Beast to the next level competitively, and it's like I got my first taste of being able to do well with a bad deck. And I think a lot of you guys have done that before with your bad decks, but I think there's another layer to it, because it does come to a point where it's like, okay, Metaltron doesn't do anything on the field. It just kind of sits there. It's nothing like Masterpiece where you actually get a pop every turn. Like, it's just there waiting for your opponent to kill it so that you can summon Crystal Wing Exterio or Last Story from Another Planet, Steam Train King. A lot of times you find yourself in that position where it's like, man, is my deck good enough? And that's where you start questioning yourself again. You're like, is it good enough? Can it really do that? Am I in over my head? And you start to believe all these lies and get down on yourself for these strategies. And I know for me, it got to the point where even my girlfriend would be like, hey Nick, are you doing okay? If it's affecting my life in that way, where it's like I can't really have a good day if I'm feeling like I'm at a brick wall with my favorite deck, that's where it's like, okay, I need to take a step away from the game. I took a break from the deck and started playing other decks. I played Sky Striker True Draco, I played Pendulum for a little bit, and I was really just waiting until Zenith came out. So I was working on a bunch of other stuff and planning on competing with those decks, but then COVID hit, and then I realized, alright, I'm going to try and break Crystal Beast, gain a following with Crystal Beast, because Yassine messaged me and he was like, hey, do you have any cool combos with Crystal Beast? And then I had the 1 Gallon Granite combo with Needle Fiber, and so I'm like, alright, let's try and get that going. I made the Infinite Negate thing, and then I ended up getting featured on Team Sam's channel. That was really sweet. Like, Yassine really kind of kickstarted my Crystal journey again, is what it really came down to. Because I dropped Adamancipator because everyone started playing it now, and it wasn't unique, right? It was the best deck, I'll tell you that much. It was definitely the best deck of the format. I don't care what you say. That was the most powerful beast ever created. And then Block got banned, and I couldn't care less at that point. Once Adamancipator started becoming tier 1, I was like, alright, I'm done with this. I'm focusing on Crystal Beast. Crystal Beast hype train all the way. And let me tell you, I'm so glad I did. I think it all really comes down to how well you do as a player, adapting and changing to the meta, making sure that you can destroy the meta with your favorite deck, and understanding that it's all just a game at the end of the day, right? If you need to take a break, seriously, go drink some water, work out at the gym. Alright, I'm telling you, go work out. And if you're watching this at night, stop watching this video right now, just go to sleep, okay? If you're in bed watching videos, go to sleep right now, I'm telling you. This is near the end of the video, so I'm comfortable with you saying that. I would say, hey, make sure to like and leave a comment, then you can go to sleep, alright? I would appreciate that, but I'm telling you, if you're still watching at this point, seriously, click off right now. Go to sleep, you need it. But I know this was kind of a more laid-back discussion kind of type of video. I'd like to hear your guys' journeys on how you're doing playing your favorite decks, even if it's bad. But I'd really like to hear that kind of feedback in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Topaz Tiger, he a known fighter, like the Cobalt Eagle. I'ma fly higher, hit you in the back just like Amethyst Cat. I'm like Zenith, coming down with every single attack.